Hello, so I wanted to do a little makeup video for you today, just showing a nice kind of easy like bronze look today. So I'm starting off with, I've just cleansed my face, really weird to see me with no makeup on, and I'm going to start off using this Clinique SPF 50 as my moisturiser today because it's really sunny and it will just give a nice bit of protection underneath my makeup. So I'm just going to put on like this amount. Okay, and I'm going to start with my eyes today, so that if I have any like fallout underneath, I can just cleanse that away before I put my like foundation on. First of all, I'm going to use this Tarte Concealer Shape Tape in 22N, which is light neutral, just as a nice primer for my lids. You can use a normal eyeshadow primer, but using a concealer just helps to give a really nice even base. And I'm just going to use the concealer brush to just smooth that all over. It also helps to get rid of any veins and discoloration around your eyelids. So now I've got a nice base, and then I'm going to use the Naked 3 palette for most of the look today, and I'm going to start by using this really pale neutral shade, the first one called Strange, just to set that primer. Just gives a nice base, and it also helps to blend all your other colours out if you just set it with a nice matte powder to begin. And I'm using the brush that comes in the Naked palette. I'm going to start off by using a darker colour towards the edges, and then I'm going to get a little bit lighter. I'm going to stick with kind of warm tones that are like pinky goldy tones. So I'm going to use this colour in the centre here, which is called Trick. It's quite a shimmery colour, but I'm just going to use it using an angled brush like this. This is a MAC 275 brush. I'm just going to start on the outer edge, working it into the crease of my eye. And then blending that up and out. And now I'm going to use a slightly darker shade, so I'm going to go in with this slightly brownier, darker colour called Factory. And I'm literally going to use that on the outer corner and really deep into the socket. And I'm using a round socket brush for this, it's quite soft, and it helps blend it in with that other colour and create depth at the edge. And I'm going to go back in with my original brush and just blend that edge in further. Just gives a little bit more darkness to that edge. And then I'm going to use a lighter goldier colour here, but first of all I'm going to put a little bit more concealer to like give a little bit more of a cut crease. So going back in with the same Shape Tape concealer. Just carefully on the front of my eye there. Only taking it up to about halfway. And back in with my light shade again. Okay, now I'm going to use Most Wanted, which is a peaches and cream pigment. It can be quite messy, but if you're careful opening it, because it's literally a pot of powder. And then I'm just going to use a tiny bit on my finger. And just pat that onto my inner eye. It's a very sparkly goldy shade, pale gold. And then I'm going to go back in with my angled brush again and just blend a tiny bit where that light begins to get into that darker shade. I'm just going to go back over with my darker brush, which had that darker colour on, and just intensify that edge. That's what I'm going to do. That's how I'm going to have my eyes for now. And I'm going to add some eyeliner to that. So this is Morphe eyeliner in Jet Black. And I'm using a very skinny angled brush. I'll show you, it's a little tiny angled brush like this. I'm doing it really thin, right up on my lash line. And I'm going to do the same on the other eye. Okay, and just to soften the edges of the eyeliner, I'm going to use a matte brown colour just to smudge it in. Just helps to soften and smudge that line a little bit. Next I'm going to add mascara. I'm actually not going to do false lashes on this look because I don't really get on very well with false lashes on my own eyes. So I'm just going to use my natural lashes. I'm going to use High Impact Mascara by Clinique. My natural lashes are quite long, so a good mascara just gives them a lovely bit of extra definition and thickness. I like this mascara because it's not waterproof, but it is smudge proof and long lasting. At this point I'm just going to remove any bits of eyeshadow that have fallen off underneath, just using a little bit of cleanser and one of my washable pads. There we go, see, it just helps to get any bits that fall out underneath your eyes before you put your base on. So I'm now going to prime with Lancome La Base. It's just a really nice primer which just helps to minimise all your pores and give a lovely smooth finish. Now I'm going to go in with the Shape Tape again as a concealer under my eyes. It's really good for getting rid of dark circles. You can also use it to get rid of any blemishes that you might have. So at this point, if you are still looking to get rid of any dark circles under your eyes, I'd recommend a colour corrector, a bit like this one from Charlotte Tilbury. This one's in Fair, and it's just a lovely warm colour, which just helps to neutralise any grey areas under your eyes here. So I'm just going to press that just lightly on top of that. Right, so because I don't really like a full coverage foundation, I'm going to use this Nars Sheer Glow foundation, but I am going to add a tiny bit of the iconic original highlighting drops into it, just to give it an even more glowy sheer coverage for me. Because in the summer I get quite a lot of freckles and I quite like to keep my skin quite natural, but I know that it just needs a little bit just to make it look a bit more flawless. So I've just popped a bit on my hand and I'm just going to mix that up. The colour I'm using is called Santa Fe. And I'm just going to lightly buff that all over. This is a darker shade to what I would normally wear in the winter, but my skin has definitely caught the sun in the last few weeks. There we go, it gives a lovely sort of nice soft dewy finish. So I'm going to set this now with Urban Decay All Nighter powder. I'm just going to give a really quick light dusting over because I don't want to lose too much of that glow, but I know that I need to set it a little bit, especially under my eyes, because my under eyes do tend to crease a little bit if I don't set it. But that glow will come back through. I'm going to do a little bit of contour now. I'm using this blush bar by Benefit. which is a really lovely selection. It's got the Hoola bronzer and it's got 4 different blushes. So I'm going to use Hoola as a little bit of contour, just lightly under here, and buff it. I'm just using a really narrow fluffy brush. Just under my cheekbones. For blush, I'm also going to use this lovely Benefit palette. So I'm going to use a Gold Rush just because it's got a little bit of warmth and it's a pinky tone, which should help complement my eyes, what I've chosen for my eyes. And I'm popping it on the apples of my cheeks here, and then I'm just blending it upwards just on top of where I've done that, above where I've done that contour. Just for a nice soft peachy pinky glow. So now onto eyebrows. I do feel so strange about my eyebrows being on. I like to use Anastasia Beverly Hills Dipbrow. This shade is Taupe, which is like a nice soft brown colour. I'm using an angled brush that's quite thin, and you just dip it in. Just helps to define and line your brows. Because mine are a little bit thin. So I like to start underneath here and go around, just to help create that shape. I don't like using too much or making them look too dark because it just makes them look a little bit too fake. But that much is good. Just see how much of a difference it makes from one eye to the other. And they're not too drawn. I'm then just going to use a eyebrow brush like this just to give them a little comb. I'm now going to go back in and put a little bit of smudgy colour just underneath my eyes here, and then I'm going to do some mascara. So I'm going to use this darker shade that I used on this outer side of my eye here, called Factory, and I've just got a really slim, slightly fluffy brush. It does say ultra thin eyeliner, but it's a little fluffy, this one, so I never really use it for eyeliner. And then I'm just going to take it to halfway, because I don't want, if I take it all the way across, it can make my eyes look quite closed in. And when you do underneath your eyes like this, just make sure you tap off the brush a little bit so that you don't get fallout under here of any of the additional eyeshadow product. So just pop some on and give it a little tap. Now just before I put mascara on my bottom eyelashes, I'm going to use this Eye Cheat Rock and Coal by Charlotte Tilbury just on my waterline. So eyeliner on the watery bit, because it's a brightener and it helps to open and lift my eyes, and it looks really good in photos. I'm going to go back in now with my Clinique mascara just on the bottom lashes. There we go. I always put mascara on my bottom lashes because they're quite long and it just helps to frame my eyes. I'm now going to finish off the look with some lips, and I'm using Lip Cheat Pillowtalk by Charlotte Tilbury just to line. It's just a really soft nudie pink just to define my lips. And now for main lipstick, I'm going to use one of my favourites. It's Charlotte Tilbury Super 90s. It's just a really nice neutral brownie colour, which I've quite liked recently. And then my final touch is the Iconic Drops, which is what I added into my foundation. Just going to pop a little bit on the back of my hand. I'm going to do a few little drops on my cheekbones. And some under my eyes here. Then lastly, I'm going to set with the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. And that's it. So here is my soft bronzy goldy look. Nice for daytime. There we go. If you have any questions, just ask and I will try and pop all of the products that I've used into the bottom of my post. But thank you so much for watching. Bye.